right, folks, it's time for Where's the Beef? The teams or players that I do have beef with following this last week, NFL Week 2. Let's get into it.
Where's the beef?
The Denver Broncos blowing a 21-3 lead. I know you're Russell Wilson and this team is incredibly infuriating, but how the hell do you manage to do that? A 21-3 lead at home with what's supposed to be a dominant defense that somehow managed to make Sam Howell look like a Hall of Fame quarterback, going 27-39, 299 passing yards, a pair of touchdowns, and no interceptions. Embarrassing out of that defensive group. Now, Russell Wilson is to be held accountable as well. He was cooking a little bit, but then that fumble at the end of the first half, why didn't you go out of bounds? Why didn't you even attempt to recover your own fumble that was clearly a fumble? Makes no sense. And what was just uncanny is at the end of that game, when they got the Hail Mary, my face stayed completely still the entire time. I didn't give an iota of an emotion after they got that heroic Hail Mary because you knew with every fiber in your being that there was no chance they were converting that 2-point play if you were on the Broncos such as myself. But you know what? They actually should have got the flag, believe it or not. And that leads me to an honorable mention of the Zebras. The officials get a beef honorable mention wise because you missed that defensive pass interference. You gave up a defensive holding or whatever the hell it was on that third down where the Commanders ended up getting their final touchdown. No penalty to be had, yet you threw it. So the officials were absolute trash. Not saying the Broncos deserved to win this game. They absolutely did not. But an honorable mention for a beef in a disastrous event was the officials in that game. But overall, Denver Broncos, especially the defense, you get my beef for NFL Week 2. The other beef I'm dishing out.
Where's the beef?
New Orleans, I'm looking at you fellas. You made me sit through that annoying, mediocre-ass Monday Night Football game for multiple hours only to fall on the number 3 and have our bet push. I mean, Derek Carr had his moments where he just looked like he had never held a football before, but then he finally figured it out. He looked competent, and then he got this lead to 11 points with just a few minutes to go. And all of a sudden, the defense just went, nah, we don't really care anymore, we're fine. What do you mean you don't care anymore? You hadn't let up a touchdown the entire season. Have some pride and prevent this terrible offense that only ended up with 239 total yards of offense, 4.3 yards per play, and only having offensive production from Eddie Pinheiro. You let them get into the end zone like it was me out there at every position playing defense. Have some pride. Keep the trend going. And just like I was saying, as a Broncos backer, when you knew they weren't getting the 2-point conversion, right? There was no chance in hell that was occurring. Same type of energy after the first big play for the Panthers in that final sequence, to where you knew they were going to get a touchdown and it was inevitable they were converting the 2-point play. Same energy. You knew it was happening with the Panthers. You knew it wasn't happening with the Broncos. And to make it worse, it ended up being a broken play on that 2-point conversion, and they still converted. Thank you a lot, New Orleans. You had me waste my Monday night sweating out that game, all for it to just end in a tie and have our bet push at -3. Yes, it could have been worse, but we had the win right there in the grasps of our hands, and you let it slip away. That's my other beef for NFL Week 2.